You are stronger than you know, more capable than you believe, and able to do more than you thought was possible. The thing you have to just do is start, believe, and begin. So often I see, especially with the guys that I work with, that there is doubt. There is doubt about what they are capable of. Doubt around if they can even do this. Can they handle it? Do they have the capacity, the discipline, the focus, the drive to take on something as intense but rewarding as Greatness Daily? Do they have it in them? The answer is yeah, you do. You've just got to A, take that leap of faith, and B, start the process. You know, I've got a guy in my program at the moment, and when he began, he was the most hesitant person I have ever encountered before starting a program. There were so many questions. There was so much about, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm capable. Will it matter if this happens? What if I can't follow through? All these questions, all this doubt, all this fear around taking it on. And to be honest, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if he had it. But my belief has always been, you have a go and you see. Because more often than not, you surprise yourself with what you are capable of if you just make the decision. If you take that first step forward, you build that first little grain of momentum, just that beginning notion, you'd be shocked at where you can get to, what you are capable of if you just start the process. And he is this shining beacon of this. Because, as I said, he was so nervous, so scared, like so many fears and doubts, and what if this happens? What if I can't do it? What if I can't follow through? All this kind of stuff. And he is, of the people who are in the program right this second, he is doing the best. He is risen to the occasion, and he's just pushing forward. And I am so fucking proud of this guy. Like, unbelievably proud of him, because he just keeps showing up, and he has every excuse under the sun. You know, he's got 4 kids, he's got a busy job, he's got a lot going on, and then excuses once he started. You know, I think he drastically undersold how out of shape he was. You know, he's ended up with blisters on his ankles, and his feet are sore. So, the other day, what did he do? He's like, I'm going to get this shit done. I made a commitment and I'm getting this shit done. And he couldn't put his shoes on because the blisters were that bad. And I didn't say anything. I just let him make the decision. But they were that bad that, as I said, he couldn't get his shoes on. So he's like, well, I guess I'll do it in bare feet. So instead of cashing it in, instead of not doing the weighted walk, what he did was put the weight on, and he walked up and down his driveway for 45 fucking minutes. I've been there. Do you know how incredibly boring that is? Do you know how much mental discipline it takes to not call it early, to not say that's good enough? It's mind-numbingly boring, and it makes it incredibly more harder to do, because you're just like, I just want to be done. I could literally just walk in my door. I could just turn around and call it quits, and no one would know. I could just step into my door right there. And he completed it. And then today he was like, they're still sore. I can't get my shoes on. And the base of my feet is sore from walking up and down my driveway. So he's got a treadmill at home. So because part of the thing is that it has to be outside. So the weighted walk has to be outside. It's the condition of it. It's about overcoming other obstacles in your way, because you can't control the weather. You can't control what's going on, so you have to just get in and do it. So he drags the treadmill outside and does it outside. He does his 45-minute walk. And I was like, this more than the weight loss, more than how it's going to affect his, physicality, which he's seeing incredible transformation so far. This is going to change the game for him. This is the level of mental discipline and fortitude that I'm talking about. This is what Greatness Daily is about. This is what it's meant to create. It's about becoming the most disciplined man you can be. It's about following through on the things you said. He is becoming very fucking rapidly a different man. He is going to show up differently because he's followed through and he's made this commitment. And as I said, I am unbelievably proud of this man. That what he has committed to and followed through on. All the reasons in the world were there. All the doubt was there. All the nervousness was there. And he's like, no, I've said I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a man of my word and I need to make a change. So he is just following through and he's just continuing on. And that's just fucking incredible. And I think this is the gap for a lot of people, that you don't know what you are capable of until you step into the arena. You don't know how much you can take until you've just begun. We talk all the time about the stories in your head and how more often than not, they are the things holding you back. They're the biggest barrier to entry. Is not actually what happens once you start, but the stories you've built up in your head around what will happen, what could go wrong, all the possibilities. You overthink it and you play out these scenarios. Most of them that'll never transpire. Most of them that will never come true. Because you just need to get in and start. Once you get in and start and you begin the process, you find that, it's a lot easier than I thought it was. Oh, it's flowing a lot better than I thought it would. Oh, I'm actually really enjoying this. Oh, I'm able to overcome way more than I thought I could. Because you just started. There's all the different rules under the sun. The 5-minute rule, the just begin, just show off, tack it onto another habit, whatever it might be. Whatever is required for you to just begin. That's what you need. Just begin. Get into the arena. Just begin with something and you'll be shocked at how much then flows from it. That's why I always talk about the fitness side being the gateway drug to the greatest life you can lead. Because if you can get this part right, it builds momentum into other areas. It teaches consistency. It teaches effort. It teaches, mental fortitude and grit and determination. It builds this strength in you. It builds this focus in you. And it teaches you that results aren't instantaneous, but giving hands and daylight, consistency and effort, and showing up will change your life way more than you can ever imagine. And it applies to every single area of your life. It doesn't matter who you are, business, health, relationships, money, success, whatever it is you are pursuing. If you show up every single day, let's say for a year, and I know that's a big ask. I know that seems like a daunting task, but for a year, you don't quit and you don't give up and you just keep showing up no matter what, and you give it effort and passion and enthusiasm and everything you have, and you do that for a year, there is zero chance you won't be successful in that area. Zero. If you are truly showing up and giving it your all, it is unquestionable that you will succeed. But you have to give it your all. And you have to keep showing up and you have to keep doing the work. And as I said, that applies to everything. The reason why most people fail is because they quit. That they just don't keep showing up and giving effort. Sure, tweak it as you go, make adjustments, but don't stop. What? Stop stopping. Stop restarting. Stop taking yourself back to the beginning. Just keep moving forward. You have the strength. You have the fortitude. You have the ability. You just have to keep moving forward, one day at a time. It's like we talk about all the time. You just have to win one day. Then you win the next day, and you win the next day, and you win the next day, day after day after day after day. Just focusing on that day, on overcoming the obstacles for that day. Yeah, long term you want to reach a year. Long term you want to reach more than a year. You want to just build this out into your life. But win today. Win this moment. And just keep stacking the little wins until they become massive wins. And then the wins become easier as well, because you've built momentum behind it. You've built this consistency. You've built this continuing to push forward. And then they become easier because you've got all this momentum behind you. I always think it's funny, you throw it back to Newton's law. And mind you, I was a terrible fucking student. Like I was awful at school. But this is the one thing from science in high school that I remember. And it's Newton's third law. Things in motion stay in motion. The hardest thing is to begin. The hardest moment is to just start. That initial effort to build momentum. That initial push to start the process. And every day that you continue moving that forward, it gets easier and easier and easier because you're building that momentum. And it's why, I know people disagree with me all the time, but it's why I teach no days off. There is no exceptions. Because I have had my gym since 2013, so 12 years. I have been doing that out of my own gym. I have been training people legally since 2009. Unqualified a little bit before that. And you know what stops people? Is the lack of momentum. It's the fact that they break the momentum. That they take the weekend off. How many people are great Monday to Friday and then fucking blow it on the weekend? And then they just stay stuck. They stay in this repeated cycle because the weekend is this massive blowout. And more often than not even just that, it goes, Monday's a fucking slog. Everybody hates Mondays. Tuesday gets a little bit better. Wednesday's good. Thursdays, you're building some momentum. Friday, you're excited for the weekend. You stop Saturday, Sunday, and then you have to start again. And you have to rebuild and reconvince yourself every fucking Monday. And I see it in my gym. People who are struggling every Monday because they're there. And I'm like, no, we just need to continue. We need to do it every single day. You need to keep doing something every single day. That's why I'm chasing greatness. It's every single day. Because then you're also not having debates. It's the same concept of making the decision and cutting off all other options. You make the decision. There are no other options. This is who I am. This is what I do every single day. I go for a weighted walk with 10% or more of my body weight. I do a weighted workout every single day. I eat an animal-based diet. I eat meat and I eat fruit. And I drink 4 liters of water and I take a daily photo. Every single fucking day. No exceptions. No questions. There is no thought process. It removes a lot of the willpower out of it because you don't have to make a decision. A lot of the times people fail because they have decision fatigue. They get to the point and they've made too many decisions. It's why most of us fail at nighttime. It's why we usually binge at nighttime, because you've used up all that willpower making decisions throughout the day, and you get to the end of the day and you got nothing left and you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to let my feelings and my emotions run free. I was talking to one of my clients this morning about this very morning, and I was like, even for me, even in what I do, night times are the hardest. The amount of times that I finish up at the gym, it's 6:30 at night, I'm like, God, I could really go something. And depending on how tired it is, depends on the cravings that I have. Oftentimes I do. I'll give in within the spectrum of what I do. So I'll get some berries. I'll go get some frozen berries and I'll snack on them to like deal with that craving. But within what I'm trying to do now in phase 3 is I'm trying to cut that off, purely because I don't want to keep giving in to the emotions. I don't want to open a crack into that side of me that is driven by resistance, that's driven by emotions and feelings, that allows me to be controlled by short-term emotions to override my long-term decisions. Yeah, I'm still within the spectrum that I allow, but I don't want to keep giving into that. I don't want to even give, the smallest breath of life into that being an acceptable choice. Every phase that I take on with 126 is to refine that, to become the most disciplined man that I can be. It doesn't make it any easier. Not by a long fucking shot. But the more you can cut off those decisions, and part of the reason why I haven't succeeded so far is, as you can hear in the way I'm describing it, I haven't made a full decision. I keep thinking about it. I want to do it. Fuck it. Right here, right now, in front of you. I am making that decision. There is no other option. There is no more giving into those feelings in the afternoon. There is no more giving into those emotions. It is done. I've cut off. The decision has been made. And as I've said to you before, a decision means that you have cut off all other options. And that's what has to be done. So I needed that. I needed to just make that decision, to stop fucking around with, I should, or I want to. No, I am going to. It is done. Not even I'm going to. It is done. End of story. I have made that decision, and now it's that version. And this is the point that you have to get to. And don't inflate it by any stretch of the imagination. That's not where I'm saying you should start. You have to start at the level you're at. My first phase of 126 was literally just the physical. And that screams to how far I had let it go, considering I have been working out and training since I was 14 years old. This has been my world and my life since I was 14. I'm 33. But I had to make a decision. I had to cut off the other options and just focus in on the physical components, to do my weighted walk every single day, to do my weighted workout every single day, to do the animal-based diet every single day, to do the water, to do the photo. That's all I did for the first thing, because I had to rebuild that discipline muscle. And it's something that you have to utilize. It's something that you have to engage and deliberately choose every single day. Because I've always prided myself on being a very disciplined person. And yet, here I was, the height of hypocrisy, the man who'd let himself go, the man who was telling you how to live your life and not living it. I was talking the talk, I wasn't walking the walk. And it reached a point where it was unacceptable. And it was triggered all by my children. That I didn't want to be that version of myself anymore for them. I didn't want to die and miss out on seeing them become the beautiful humans that they're going to be. I didn't want to miss any of that. So I had to take a stand. I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice and move forward from there. But you never realize how strong you are. You never realize how much you have in you until you are willing to enter the arena, until you are willing to get in and get your hands dirty and begin. The first step is always the hardest. That very first step, because you have no momentum. You are beginning from zero. You are starting the process. But once you start the process, once you begin, once you get into it, you'll find that you have way more strength and determination and resilience and willpower than you thought possible. And then you have to keep finding it. But that first step, you just have to take that first step. And I know it's daunting, and I know it's scary, and I know you've got fucking stories in your head around why you cannot do it, why it's impossible, why it can't be done because this will happen and that'll happen and this will come up, or whatever the fuck the story might be. But you can, and you will, and you'll find a way. Sure, you'll have missteps. Sure, you'll slip along the way. Sure, you'll continue to have doubts, and new doubts will arise as you continue the process. But you'll learn to overcome, and you'll find your level of discipline, and you'll discover so much about yourself because you began the journey, because you got into the trenches and actually did something, that you began to discover who you were. And you realized that you were way more powerful than you ever thought you were, that you had so much more potential than you ever thought possible. And it's time to unlock that potential. It's time to see who you could be if you committed, if you went all in, if you opened yourself up to be the greatest version of yourself, if you started to chase greatness daily. Because it could be the greatest thing that you've ever done with your life, to discover who you could be. And then you can inspire those around you to do more, to be more, to live more. Don't you think that that's worth the attempt? And look, worst case scenario, you dedicate 126 days or 30 days or whatever the fuck you're willing to give up. And you decide at the end that you're happy with where you're at. I have my doubts, but you can always revert back to the current life. But it's worth getting into the arena. It's worth showing up and attempting it to see who you could be. So, if you are ready to see who you can be, if you're ready to be held accountable, to be held to the standards and discover what your true potential is, shoot me a message. Let's get into chasing greatness. Let's see who you can be when you commit, when you go all in. I think you'd be surprised at what is possible on the other side. Now, if you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. It helps me, it helps you, it helps the algorithm. It lets everybody know that you're enjoying this and you're learning from this and to keep doing it. And if you can do that for me, I promise that I'll continue to be here every single day, sharing from the front, sharing from my experiences, sharing from my guys' experiences as we go through this process and we discover how to chase the greatness and refine that process to become the greatest version of ourselves. But until then, because I'll be back again tomorrow, talk soon.